Om Gan Ganpate Namo Namaha. Atma Namaste. So in this video, we will be discussing about the karatattvas of planet, what they represent, and we will also discuss about retrograde, combustion. And apart from this, we will be also discussing about planets, aspects, and also some of the body parts which each of these planets represent. Okay. So first, we have to understand that when it comes to karatattvas, every planet has both positive and negative traits to it. Okay, so it's not always the positive things. Negative things are also there, and both of these things complement each other. Okay, so starting with sun. Sun represents your vitality. Sun is your soul. Sun also represents power, authority. It also represents ego. In terms of relation, sun represents your father. Okay, this is about sun. Then next comes moon. Moon is your mind, your intuitions, your feelings, your emotions. So these things are represented by moon. Food is also moon. And in terms of relation, moon is represented by your mother, because mother is very caring, and she nurtures you. So that's why moon is represented by mother. So likewise, even teachers and nurses are represented by moon, because the teacher will show care towards her children and also nurture them. So similarly, nurse also takes care of the patient. So that is why nurses and teacher come under moon. Okay. Then next is Mars. So Mars is a planet of aggression. It tells about your energy levels, tells about courage, bravery, fierceness. It also tells about highly spicy food. Mars, in terms of relation, is your younger sibling, brother or sister, younger brother or younger sister. Mars also represents your soldiers, your military personnels, security guards, police officers. So anything related to uniform related services. So those things are represented by Mars. Mars represents commander-in-chief as well. So Mars also represents your blood. Okay, so it's about Mars. Then you have Mercury. Mercury is your intellect. Mercury is your intelligence. Mercury also represents your education. Mercury represents your communication, the way you communicate, your communication style. So that is represented by Mercury. It also tells about commerce, accounting, stationery items. There are a lot of things which come under Mercury. But for each planet, we will be having a separate video. So let's keep it very simple and basic in this video. In terms of relation, Mercury represents your maternal uncle. Okay, and Mercury also represents your lover. Then next, moving on, we have Venus. So Venus represents, in terms of relation, it is your spouse. Okay, your wife. Venus represents your wife, and it governs areas related to beauty, love, and material pleasures. And Venus is also everything shining and glamorous. So you can say that actor and actresses are represented by Venus. Okay, so Venus is more like something to which you get attracted by the moment you see it. So all those things are represented by Venus. Okay. Then next comes Jupiter. Jupiter is your first child. Okay, Jupiter also tells about wisdom, spirituality, and philosophy. Okay, and Jupiter also tells about blessings. So these were some of the characteristics of Jupiter. Now moving on, then next comes Saturn. Now Saturn is more of a planet about discipline, hard work. So these are the things which are represented by Saturn. And apart from this, Saturn also represents deep research related work. Okay, so this was about Saturn, and Saturn also represents karma. Saturn represents karma, and in terms of a relation, it represents your elder sibling, and it also represents your father's younger brother, the first younger brother, father's first younger brother. Okay, Saturn also represents your grandfather. Okay, and Saturn also represents a judge. These were some of the characteristics of Saturn. And next, moving on, we have Rahu and Ketu. So Rahu is about obsession. Okay, Rahu is also about extravagance. Rahu is about detailed explanation. Rahu is also about a very highly intelligent person. And in terms of relation, Rahu is your paternal ancestors, that is your ancestors from your father's side. Okay, Rahu is also something all the thing which you can see. So Rahu represents everything new happening in the world. Then next comes Ketu. Ketu is your maternal ancestors, that is from your mother's side, all the ancestors of your mother. Those are represented by Ketu. And Ketu tells about detachment. Ketu tells about enlightenment, and it also governs about spirituality. Okay, so Ketu is more like a very mystic planet. It cannot be covered just within these three words itself. So when we do individual videos about the planets, we'll cover more about it. Okay, so this was about some of the basic characteristics of the planets. Now let's understand a small concept about retrograde and combustion. Okay, so retrograde means backward motion. In actual sense, no planet is ever moving backward, but because of the Earth's motion, relative motion to the planet, it appears to be moving in backward direction. Okay, so if I have to explain it in a simple term, for example, if you are moving in a car on a highway, and in front of you if there is another car which is moving slightly slower, at some point of time you would overtake the other car, and when you are overtaking it, it would seem as if the other car is moving in a reverse direction. So that is what retrograde is about. Okay, in actual sense, that car is also moving forward, but because of your relative speed is more than it, it seems as if the other car is moving backward. So this was about the concept of retrograde. And also, whenever a planet becomes retrograde in a chart, it means that either the results will be delayed or the results will manifest multiple times. Okay, so depending on the dignity of the planet, the result would differ. So this is about retrograde. Now another concept is about the combustion. So combustion happens whenever a planet gets too close to the sun. So sun is full of energy, right? So if any of the planet gets too close, it will get burned. So that is what combustion is about. So there are certain degrees with which each of these planets get combusted. For example, if Mercury falls within 14 degrees of Sun, it gets combusted. Okay. The thing here to understand is that not every time combustion or retrograde is bad. It all depends on how we are perceiving it. Okay. For example, Mercury is your education, okay, and Sun represents your father. In case if Mercury is combusted in your chart, then somehow, because of the high influence of your father, your education will be impacted in the sense it will have more influence of your father. Okay, for example, if you wanted to take aeronautical engineering, but your father insisted on doing some other course, so you would, your education would take a different track. But it could also mean because you took a different path, you might have got a better job or a better career. So it's not always bad, whenever planets are getting combusted. Okay. So this was about a small explanation about combustion and retrograde. Now let's look at the aspects of each of these planets. Now every planet has a seventh aspect, so it is more like a complementing aspect. Okay, so it is common for all the planets. There are some planets which have additional aspects. So Mars has fourth aspect, seventh aspect, and eighth aspect. Okay, then your Jupiter, it has fifth aspect, seventh aspect, and ninth aspect. Saturn has third aspect, seventh aspect, and 10th aspect. Okay, and then both Rahu and Ketu, they have your third aspect, seventh aspect, and 11th aspect. There is also a concept about Rahu's fifth, seventh, and ninth aspect, but when we do the detailed video about it, we will discuss more on that. But for now, please understand that Rahu has third, seventh, and 11th aspect, and likewise Ketu has also similar aspects. Okay. Now why these planets alone have these special aspects? Okay, now before we understand this aspects, let's see which planets are malefic and which planets are benefic. So Jupiter is your full benefic planet, Venus is a benefic planet, Moon is a benefic planet, Mercury is more sort of a flexible planet. So if it is with the good planets, it behaves well, and in case if it is with the malefic planets, the other planets, so it behaves in a different way. So in terms of malefic, Mars is your malefic, Saturn is your malefic, and then Rahu and Ketu. Okay, even Sun is more like 50-50. The Sun is more also benefic as well as a malefic as well. Okay. Now let's understand about the aspects. Before that, a small concept about the direction in which these planets go. So Sun, Moon, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, and Mercury, they will always be in clockwise direction only. Okay, only in case if it is retrograde, we see that in a reverse direction. Okay, and then Rahu and Ketu, they are always in anti-clockwise direction only. This I think we have already seen, but just reiterating it. Okay. Now coming to understanding these aspects, why Mars has 3 aspects, Saturn has 3 aspects, and Jupiter has 3 aspects. Let's understand it through some example. So Mars represents your soldier. Okay, so a soldier is capable of not just attacking you directly, which is your 7th aspect. Okay, he can also represent, he can also do a covert operation. So eighth means secret. Eighth house represent to secrets. So a soldier can also perform a covert operation. So that is why Mars has that eighth aspect. Now Mars is also represented by anger. So when you have more anger and aggression, your inner peace, which is your fourth house, it gets disturbed. So that is why it has the fourth aspect. Okay. Now about Jupiter. So wherever Jupiter aspect falls, it will bless those areas. So Jupiter will bless your children, through your fifth aspect. Jupiter will bless your marriage. That is why it has the seventh aspect. And Jupiter is also a planet of wisdom, so it gives you blessing and also gives you wisdom. Okay. Now let's see about Saturn, which has the third, seventh, and 10th aspect. So Saturn, I somehow feel that it is a very misunderstood planet. It is more of a strict teacher. So see Saturn, like a very strict teacher. So for example, in your school, there would be some teacher who would have been very strict. So for example, if a teacher was very particular about handwriting, and if your handwriting wasn't good, and if the teacher made you do rework, so at that point of time, from a student's perspective, it might seem very harsh treatment, but in actual sense, the intention of that strict teacher is to make you better at it, make your handwriting better. So you have to see the intention of Saturn here. His actions might seem negative, but the intent is completely positive only. So try to see Saturn in that aspect. Okay. So yeah, so like I said, it has third, seventh, and 10th aspect. So third represents your self effort. So Saturn demands that self effort, and Saturn will give you challenges, the most challenge through its seventh aspect, and 10th is about your fame, your karma. Okay. So let's say you wanted to establish your own business. So Saturn will demand that self effort through its third aspect. It will give you challenges in your business partnership through the seventh aspect, and your through the 10th aspect, it will make sure that your business flourishes, and it will give you fame. Okay, so this was a brief description about Saturn's three aspect. Coming to Rahu and Ketu, like I said, it will be covered in a separate video because it requires a more broader explanation. So to keep this video short, I will stop here for related to the aspects. Now let's see what are all the body parts represented by each of these planets. So Sun represents your head. Okay. Sun also represents your right eye. In a male chart, Sun represents right eye, and in a female chart, Sun represents left eye. Okay. Likewise, Sun also represents your bones. Okay. Next comes Moon. Moon, like I said, it represents your your breasts. It represents your mind. In a male chart, it represents left eye. In a female chart, it represents right eye. Okay, this was about Moon, and Moon is sometimes also represented by blood as well, because it's in liquid form. Blood is in liquid form. That is also represented by Moon. But Moon, blood is actually represented by Mars. Okay, due to its nature, it is blood is something which gives you energy. Mars is energy, so that is why blood is Mars. And then Mars also represents your gums. Mars also represents your bone marrows. Okay, So your bone marrow is something which is which actually produces or gives energy to your entire bone structure. Okay, so if your bone marrow is good, obviously your bones will be strong. So this was about Mars, and Mars also represents your muscles. So Mars is also represented by gym and exercise. So what happens when you work out? You grow muscles. So Mars is represented by muscles as well, and a physically fit person. Then next comes Mercury. Mercury is your nervous system. Okay, all your nerves, they are represented by Mercury. And yes, what is there inside your brain? Too many nerves, right? Neurons. So it also represents your intellect and intelligence. So the more neurons you have, the higher your intelligence and intellect would be. Okay. Mercury also represents your skin as well, because your skin is flexible. So it represents your skin. Mercury also represents your neck, your shoulder, your hands and fingers. Okay. To tell you short about Mercury, it is your ENT, ear, nose, and throat. These things are also represented by Mercury. Okay. Then next comes Jupiter. Jupiter is your liver, your thighs, your fat content, literally. Okay, the good fat and the bad fat both. This was about Jupiter. Then next comes Venus. So Venus is your reproductive organs. Venus represents semen. Venus also represents your vision. Eyes are different, but it is the vision, the ability to see, that is represented by Venus. Okay. Then next planet is Saturn. So Saturn is your knees and joints. So if one has to live long, means or your joints need to be strong. So that is why it is said that oil bath is good for you. So oil is also another karatatva for Saturn. So when you take oil bath regularly, your longevity would increase. Okay, so this was about Saturn, and Saturn is also represented by bones, because when you're taking oil bath, it is getting absorbed in your bones. Stronger bones, longer is your life. Okay, so it's about Saturn. And then Rahu and Ketu, again, they are mystical planets. So Rahu tells about your allergies. So when your any diseases or sudden illness, it is represented by Rahu. Okay. Ketu is about your unknown diseases. You won't be able to find why those diseases are happening. So those things are represented by Ketu, and Ketu also represents your hair. Okay. In certain cases, Ketu also somehow represents your ear as well. So ear has multiple Varma points. So if you pinch them correctly, certain health issues get solved as well. So that will be covered separately. But yeah, this was about Ketu. Saturn also represents your leg. I forgot to tell that. So Saturn represents your legs. One more thing which I also forgot to tell was that in a female chart, Mars represents husband. Okay, and this was one point which I forgot to mention earlier. So this was about today's video. Let's see the remaining topics in upcoming videos. Thank you.